Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video, we are going to break down the best tips and tricks for visiting Universal Studios Hollywood. So we're out in the parks, we're going to be running around today, coming up with the best strategies, filling you in on the best things that you need to know about if you are in the process of planning a day or a full vacation here at Universal Studios Hollywood. So if you're in the process, stick around to the end of this video. I'm very excited, so let's go get started. So the first tip and trick when coming to visit Universal Studios Hollywood, and we would say be familiar with the virtual queue and virtual line system. Now this is really, really important if you plan to visit Super Nintendo World, because right now, depending on the day you visit, Super Nintendo World might and probably will have a virtual queue system to get into this land. You won't be able to just go and enter the land. You do have to get to the park early. You have to join the virtual queue in order to get into Super Nintendo World. The other thing that's important to note is there are some of the other rides that could possibly be part of the virtual queue. So keep an eye out for that. I would say another tip and trick on top of that would be to just make sure you download the Universal Hollywood app before you even get here to the parks, just so you can get familiar with it. You'll understand how it works. You'll see those virtual queue sections on the app, and you'll just be as prepared as possible for your days in the park. Okay, so the next tip and trick for visiting Universal Studios Hollywood is that Universal Studios Hollywood is selling an early entry ticket specifically for Super Nintendo World. So if Super Nintendo World is a must-do for you, you don't want to have to worry about waiting on virtual queues, but you don't really want to upgrade to the Universal Express Pass or VIP experience, then we would say to possibly look into that early entry ticket. So it's about $30 as of the time of the recording of this video, and essentially what it will allow you to do is it will allow you to get into Super Nintendo World 1 hour before other park guests, to really just run around, enjoy the ride, go over to Toadstool's Cafe, make sure that you keep an eye out for the QR code so you can scan and try to get into that. You do have to try to get into that as well. A lot that goes into these trips, but also the stores are open, character meet and greets, right? All that fun stuff. So be mindful of that. Keep an eye on it if you are trying to get into Super Nintendo World. Okay, so another important tip and trick when visiting Universal Studios Hollywood, and we would say make sure that you download the Universal Studios Hollywood app before you get here. Now this is important for a couple of reasons. We might have stated already in this video, but you do need it in order to try to join that virtual queue to get into Super Nintendo World. The other important thing is wait times, right? You can keep an eye on the wait times throughout the day. Also, there's going to be a virtual queue, and you do have to mobile order Toadstool Cafe, which is inside of Super Nintendo World. So as you can see, there's just a lot of reasons why you'd want to download the app, and mostly you really want to make sure you download it before you get here, just so you are prepared and you don't have to waste time doing that once you're inside the parks. So another really important reason to have the Universal Hollywood app is it is going to track your coins throughout the day, specifically in Super Nintendo World. So you could track, how you're progressing. You can also see where you rank against other players. If you're interested in the coins and the power-up bands and how it works, be sure to go check out our video on the best tips and tricks for Universal Studios Super Nintendo World. We're going to dive in a little bit deeper there. But if you are hitting the Super Nintendo World and you plan to play some of the games that are around, you're going to want to be sure to have the app, because that's essentially how you track everything. All right, so another important tip and trick when visiting Universal Studios Hollywood, and I hope I don't get killed doing this one, is do the lower level first. So you'll see it's pretty early in the morning as we're here in the parks, and we are coming down to the early level. The reason being is because the way that this park is situated is half of the rides are going to be down here on the bottom level. The other half are going to be up top as we try to make that transition pretty soon to go and check out Super Nintendo World. But get here early, come down to the lower level, get these rides out of the way, and then essentially you'll be able to then jump back up to the rides up at the top later in the day. And this way you're kind of, you're planning, and it's really the most efficient way to hit these parks. All right, so another great tip and trick when visiting Universal Studios Hollywood, and that would be to use the single rider line when possible. Just like out in Universal Orlando, the single rider line can be a great way to take advantage of really, really low wait times. That's no different out here in Universal Hollywood. It's kind of a great fit for families who are traveling with older kids, older adults, right, that they can go and hop on the ride by themselves. So here in Universal Hollywood in particular, the rides that include the single rider line are going to be Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, Revenge of the Mummy, the ride, Transformers, the ride 3D, Jurassic World, and then of course here in Super Nintendo World, Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge. Now I can't guarantee that you will have less of a wait. However, there's a good chance that it probably will be less of a wait, especially here in Universal Hollywood over in Orlando. So definitely check that out and you'll be as prepared as possible. Okay, so another really important tip and trick when visiting Universal Studios Hollywood is don't forget about Hogsmeade Village. Yes, that's right. Universal Hollywood does have a Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Now, it's not going to be as over the top as over in Orlando. It's just missing one ride, but that one ride really is the ride, in my opinion, in Hogsmeade in Orlando, and that is it does not have Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. But if you recognize that castle behind me, it does have Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey. And then also it does have Harry Potter and the Flight of the Hippogriff. And then it also does have Ollivander's Wand Shop. So you could still come, you could see, it really is really, really cool, especially if you've never been to Orlando and you are a Harry Potter fan. Come and check it out at Universal Hollywood because again, it's very, very similar. They're playing the music. It's just really, really cool. And you can grab a butterbeer, which I also think is a must-do when visiting the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. All right, so another couple of really important tips and tricks that we picked up along the way as we hang out in the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. If you do upgrade and decide to get the early admission ticket to Super Nintendo World, one of the things we saw that it does include essentially one express entry into the backlot tour. So you do have to use that by 11 o'clock. So that is important. You have to kind of plan around that. We actually found that we were in Super Nintendo World for a long time, and we got there at 7 o'clock, and we were in there at least until 10:30. So you got to be mindful of that. And when you get into Super Nintendo World, you're gonna see it's gonna be really almost impossible to leave, just because of that's how cool it is. But you do have that option as well. The other thing that I wasn't sure about until I got here is if the backlot tour was included with the regular Universal Express Pass for Universal Hollywood, and it is. You can take advantage of that. So just a couple other things to keep in mind. Okay, so another important tip and trick when visiting Universal Studios Hollywood, as I have the backdrop behind me. This one is specifically over for the backlot tour. So the backlot tour is not open until Universal's regular closing, right? So you do have to be mindful of that. If you do want to go onto the backlot tour, which I would recommend because it is really, really cool, definitely be sure to go and do that, earlier on in the day, so that you don't have to worry about, that tour getting cut off before the park closes for regular guests. Another one of the tips and tricks specifically regarding Hogsmeade Village here at Universal Studios Hollywood is that I could just already tell that it's a little bit less crowded than the one in Orlando. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it doesn't have Hagrid's Magical Creatures. But I personally like this because, in my opinion, if you don't show up for early park admission, by the time you get over to Hogsmeade in Orlando, it's going to be pretty crowded and really, really busy. But as you can see behind me, it's crowded, but this is nothing compared to Orlando. And it's about 11:30, 12 o'clock in the afternoon as we're here right now. So if you're coming to, grab some great photos or just relax, hang out, take in the atmosphere, I think Hollywood has the advantage over Orlando. Don't skip the shows, but specifically Waterworld right behind me. So for this one, you could check out the Universal Hollywood app, or you could check showtimes when you get here to the parks and kind of plan your day around that. But taking it one step further, you can also go to Hogsmeade. Some of the street performances that you're used to in Universal Orlando, they will have in Hogsmeade. The backstage tour, not a show, but it kind of is, it's all about the movies here, so definitely take advantage of that. And so there you have it. Those are some of the best tips and tricks when visiting Universal Hollywood. I really, really hope that you found this video helpful. I hope that you learned a thing or two for your next family vacation. And if you are in the process of planning a Universal Hollywood trip and you do need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. But I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you again so much for checking out this video. And until next time, I will talk to you soon.